Letting go is not about losing. It is about reclaiming life. Holding on to pain, grief, resentment, or unmet expectations might feel familiar, but each grip constricts the space where freedom, joy, and peace could reside. The weight of carrying what no longer serves is heavier than it appears, shaping every thought, every breath, every small action, and quietly limiting the life that could unfold. Yet even in this tension, release is possible. Staying here, in this reflection, is an opportunity to witness the ways in which holding on has shaped the present, and to glimpse the possibility of letting go, not as an act of surrender, but as a deliberate choice to allow life to flow through the self freely. If these words resonate, lingering here will illuminate the first steps toward reclaiming space, energy, and emotional clarity that has been quietly deferred for far too long. The act of holding on is often born of love, fear, or hope. Love may cling to what is lost, to memories that feel sacred, or to relationships that have changed. Fear clings to what is unknown. What could happen if the familiar slips away? Hope, sometimes stubborn, clings to an imagined future that cannot be forced into existence. Each form of holding is natural and understandable, yet the longer it persists without acknowledgement or processing, the more it shapes the way the self moves through life. Holding on may have once felt protective or necessary, but it is not always aligned with presence, peace, or freedom. The first step toward letting go is simply noticing what has been held, the emotions, the attachments, the unresolved moments, without judgment, without shame, and with the quiet permission to explore their influence on the present. Imagine for a moment a bird trapped beneath a heavy branch. The weight presses down, constraining the wings and limiting movement, not because the bird is weak, but because it is carrying what it cannot bear. To survive, the branch must be lifted or removed, allowing the wings to stretch, the body to release, and flight to become possible once more. Letting go functions much like lifting that weight. It is not a denial of what has happened, nor an erasure of memory. It is the conscious choice to release the constriction that prevents natural movement and expression. Each moment spent in reflection, in gentle acknowledgement of what has been held, is a preparation for that liberation, a subtle strengthening of the self's readiness to expand. The emotions connected to what is being released are rarely simple. Grief, anger, fear, disappointment, or regret may appear in waves, sometimes overwhelming, sometimes barely noticeable. This is natural. To let go does not mean ignoring these feelings or pretending they do not exist. It means allowing them to be felt fully, witnessed without judgment, and understood as a signal that the self is ready to release attachment to outcomes, situations, or people that cannot be controlled. Each wave that is observed and experienced in mindfulness softens its power, turning it from a relentless current into a teacher that guides the self toward greater clarity and acceptance. There is also a profound relationship between letting go and self-compassion. Often, what we cling to is intertwined with self-judgment, the should have, the could have, the if only. These phrases echo like chains, reinforcing attachment to what cannot be changed. By turning attention inward, by practicing patience and gentle kindness toward the self, the process of release becomes less about loss and more about care. Each acknowledgement of personal effort, courage, and resilience, even in the midst of disappointment or grief, is a thread in the fabric of liberation. Letting go is not giving up on life. It is giving life the space to be felt fully, deeply, and freely. The body holds the memory of attachment as much as the mind. Tension in the shoulders, tightness in the chest, a sense of heaviness in the limbs. These are physical echoes of what has been held too long. Gentle awareness, deep breathing, and conscious relaxation communicate to the body that release is safe. With each exhale, a fraction of tension can be surrendered, and with each mindful pause, the nervous system begins to recalibrate. The practice of physically embodying letting go reinforces the mental and emotional work, creating an integrated sense of liberation that is tangible, subtle, and profoundly stabilizing. Holding on often disguises itself as control. The mind convinces itself that keeping thoughts, memories, or expectations close is necessary to prevent future pain. But this illusion of control keeps the self tethered, limiting the natural flow of life and the emergence of new experiences. Observing the self in these moments with curiosity, rather than criticism, allows the recognition that the desire to control is understandable, but not absolute. Control can be loosened gently, choice by choice, moment by moment, until the self experiences the relief and expansiveness that comes from releasing the insistence on how life should unfold. Connection with others can support this process. Sharing the intention to release attachment with a trusted friend, community, or reflective space can reinforce the commitment to letting go. Holding the awareness of support, even when practicing release privately, reminds the self that transformation is neither isolated nor impossible. If these reflections resonate, staying connected here is a gentle way to anchor the process. Subscribing is not about following a channel. It is about choosing to return to a space that encourages mindful release, awareness, and gentle guidance, a companion for the ongoing work of letting go. Even when the process feels slow, uneven, or resisted, it is still unfolding. Letting go is rarely immediate or dramatic. It is subtle, cumulative, and often imperceptible at first. Each acknowledgement of attachment, each moment of mindful reflection, each act of surrender, no matter how small, compounds into a profound shift in perception and experience. What once felt urgent, heavy, or permanent gradually becomes lighter, more fluid, and integrated. The self learns that release is not loss. It is expansion, space, and freedom waiting to be inhabited. By now, it is clear that the art of letting go is not a single act but a lifelong practice. It is a gentle, deliberate rhythm that allows grief, love, disappointment, and hope to coexist without constriction. Each wave of emotion can be observed, felt, and released without fear or resistance. Every small practice, whether physical, mental, or emotional, serves as a bridge between holding on and true liberation. Over time, the cumulative effect creates a state of presence in which the self is not defined by attachments, past hurts, or unfulfilled expectations, but by the capacity to move freely through life with grace, courage, and awareness. As the first script closes, the invitation is simple. Notice what is being held, witness it without judgment, and remain open to the possibility of release. The act of letting go is not a denial of love, loss, or memory. It is the conscious reclamation of life's flow, energy, and vitality. If this resonates, allowing this space to remain a companion, through reflection and continued engagement, provides gentle support for the ongoing practice of freeing the self from what no longer serves. Letting go becomes possible the moment awareness meets intention. The first script illuminated what has been held too tightly, and now the work is to engage with those emotions, memories, and expectations in a way that fosters release without judgment. It is not about forcing the self to forget or detach instantly. It is about consciously choosing to shift the relationship with what has been carried for so long. Each thought, feeling, and sensation connected to attachment is an opportunity for understanding, compassion, and gentle transformation. Observing the tension without resistance, acknowledging the longing without suppression, and allowing the body and mind to gradually loosen creates the foundation for lasting freedom. This is where the art of letting go truly begins, in the careful, tender cultivation of inner spaciousness. Every attachment, whether to a person, a memory, a past disappointment, or a future expectation, carries with it a story. That story may be filled with love, regret, hope, or sorrow, and each narrative has shaped the self's identity, perspective, and habits. Recognizing the story does not diminish its importance, it honors it. By seeing the narrative as a thread woven into the larger tapestry of life rather than a chain keeping the self captive, the perspective shifts from limitation to possibility. It is here that the self can begin to disentangle from the weight of the story, while still carrying the lessons it imparts. Each act of reflection, each acknowledgement of emotion, and each gentle reframing is like loosening a knot that has held tightly for far too long. A powerful way to approach release is through visualization. Picture a river flowing steadily, carrying leaves, stones, and fallen petals downstream. The river does not judge what it carries, it simply moves, creating space for freshness, light, and movement. Now imagine placing the attachments, worries, and unresolved emotions into the current, allowing the flow to carry them without force or fear. Each exhale becomes a gentle release, each breath a reaffirmation that the self is safe, whole, and capable of holding presence without clinging. This imagery is not an escape, it is a rehearsal for reality. It trains the mind to understand that release is not loss of self, but a reclamation of energy, clarity, and openness. The body, again, mirrors the emotional landscape. Tension, heaviness, and resistance often lodge physically in the shoulders, chest, or abdomen. To let go effectively, it is essential to bring awareness into the body. Gentle stretching, conscious breathing, and deliberate relaxation signal to the nervous system that release is safe. Even small gestures like rolling the shoulders or lengthening the spine communicate freedom and support the mental and emotional aspects of letting go. The integration of mind and body strengthens the process, allowing the self to inhabit a state of openness in which emotional release feels natural and sustainable. Part of letting go is also learning to distinguish between what can be influenced and what cannot. Clinging to outcomes, wishing circumstances were different, or trying to control the uncontrollable is a subtle but persistent source of suffering. Awareness of this truth allows the self to release unnecessary struggle. Instead of wrestling with what is beyond reach, attention can be returned to the present moment, to choices, actions, and interactions that are within the self's capacity. This shift from resistance to acceptance is a cornerstone of emotional liberation. It does not mean complacency. It means aligning energy with what is responsive and meaningful, and letting the rest flow freely. Forgiveness, whether directed toward oneself or others, is a crucial companion in this journey. Letting go often feels impossible when resentment, guilt, or regret is present. Yet forgiveness is not condoning or forgetting. It is releasing the grip that these emotions have over perception and experience. To forgive is to breathe space into the self, allowing life to move through without constant tethering to the past. Each act of forgiveness, however small, is an affirmation of freedom and a reinforcement of the self's right to live with openness and lightness. Even habitual patterns of attachment can be reframed. The mind may resist release, insisting on safety and familiarity or control. These patterns are not failures. They are indicators that change requires patience, consistency, and gentle repetition. Each choice to notice, to reflect, to release, even in small increments, accumulates into a shift in perception. Slowly, the self learns that freedom is safe, that release is possible, and that life has space for both memory and renewal simultaneously. The tension softens, the body relaxes, and the mind begins to understand that letting go is a practice of expansion rather than loss. Connection remains a source of support. Observing these patterns in solitude is meaningful, but sharing reflections or engaging with compassionate spaces reinforces growth. Remaining connected here, to a space of gentle guidance and reflective presence, serves as an ongoing reminder that letting go does not need to be done alone. Subscribing is not about committing to content. It is a choice to keep returning to a supportive companion that encourages mindfulness, emotional freedom, and compassionate exploration. The process also benefits from deliberate, daily rituals. Setting aside moments to breathe deeply, journal about attachments, or visualize release reinforces the habit of letting go. Repetition creates familiarity, and familiarity breeds confidence that release is possible. Each practice, no matter how brief, signals to the nervous system, the mind, and the heart that freedom is not just attainable but natural. Over time, these rituals create a steady rhythm, an internal environment in which holding on becomes optional and presence becomes default. Even in moments when emotions surge unexpectedly, the practices continue to hold power. Observing the intensity without judgment, acknowledging it, and then returning to breath, body, and gentle reflection prevents the self from being swept away. Each act of conscious attention strengthens the ability to move through life with openness, even when the waves of past attachment rise. Resilience grows not through avoidance, but through engagement with the emotions and the deliberate choice to release. By now, the self begins to see letting go not as a singular event, but as a continuum, a living art that unfolds gradually. Awareness, visualization, bodily attention, forgiveness, and ritual combine to create a space in which life can move freely. Each moment of release, however subtle, builds momentum. Each choice to inhabit the present fully, without tethering to old attachments, reinforces the capacity to live with clarity, peace, and presence. And if these reflections resonate, returning to this space, subscribing, and practicing these exercises regularly provides a quiet companion for continued growth, offering guidance whenever the mind or heart feels burdened. Ultimately, letting go is not abandonment. It is reclamation. It is a conscious act of creating space for life, energy, and joy. It allows the self to exist fully, free from the invisible chains of attachment, expectation, and lingering regret. Each act of release, each wave observed without resistance, each moment of surrender, accumulates into profound transformation. The self begins to experience the world with renewed openness, compassion, and clarity. Freedom begins the moment the self chooses to release. Letting go is not about erasing memory, forgetting love, or denying loss. It is about creating space for life to move through fully and freely. Every thought, feeling, and attachment that has been carried for years can now be acknowledged without resistance and allowed to flow, not because the self is weak, but because it is strong enough to stand in presence without clinging. This strength is cultivated through awareness, practice, and deliberate choice. Each conscious act of release, no matter how small, accumulates into a profound liberation, transforming the inner landscape into one of openness, clarity, and resilience. The art of letting go is also the art of reclaiming energy. Consider the branches of a tree weighed down by snow. As the snow melts and falls, the tree rises again, its branches free to stretch towards sunlight, to sway with the wind, and to grow without limitation. In the same way, each release, each attachment, expectation, or lingering regret frees energy that was previously invested in resistance, fear, or fixation. That energy can now flow into creativity, relationships, self-expression, and the simple joy of existing without invisible burdens. Letting go is not subtraction, it is reclamation. It allows the self to expand into spaces that have been waiting for attention, care, and life. Even when the mind questions, "Am I ready? Is this too soon? What if I fail?" the body knows the truth. Each deep breath, each gentle pause, each moment of acknowledgement communicates safety, strength, and presence. The nervous system gradually learns that release is not danger, that vulnerability is not risk, and that openness is not weakness. The physical, emotional, and mental dimensions of the self begin to harmonize, creating an integrated sense of liberation that feels natural, steady, and empowering. Each act of practice, however small, compounds into a rhythm of freedom that supports resilience, confidence, and clarity. Forgiveness remains central to this integration, not just toward others, but toward the self. Letting go often involves releasing internalized blame, guilt, or self-judgment. Every time the self chooses compassion over condemnation, it reinforces the capacity to inhabit life fully, without the invisible chains of past mistakes or unfulfilled expectations. Forgiveness is a gentle but powerful act of liberation. It transforms attachment into acceptance, contraction into expansion, and stagnation into flow. By weaving forgiveness into each moment of release, the self cultivates a life that feels lighter, more present, and profoundly aligned with its inherent dignity. Connection, too, amplifies the transformation. Although the process of letting go is deeply personal, engaging with supportive spaces, communities, or reflective practices reinforces growth. Remaining connected to environments that honor awareness, presence, and compassionate exploration strengthens the nervous system and the mind's capacity to release. Subscribing here is not a transactional act. It is a commitment to return to a space that encourages calm, clarity, and sustained practice. It is a gentle reminder that letting go does not happen in isolation, and that reflection, guidance, and support are always available when needed. Even when moments of attachment or longing resurface, the self now has tools to respond with presence rather than contraction. Observing waves of emotion without judgment, returning to breath and bodily awareness, and reminding the self that release is both safe and natural gradually retrains the internal patterns. What once felt automatic, the impulse to cling, resist, or ruminate, now becomes optional. Each repetition of mindfulness, acknowledgement, visualization, and gentle surrender strengthens the self's ability to inhabit the present moment fully. Life can be experienced not as a series of burdens to bear, but as an unfolding of clarity, freedom, and opportunity. The culmination of letting go is profound yet simple. The self experiences life with space to breathe, to feel, and to act without the invisible weight of unnecessary attachment. Moments that once triggered fear, regret, or longing now invite reflection, insight, and choice. The past is honored but no longer held hostage. Memories are acknowledged without fixation. Relationships, outcomes, and circumstances are recognized without desperation or resistance. The self moves with agency, clarity, and presence, guided by the understanding that life flows continuously, and that release is not abandonment, it is liberation. Visualize walking along a shoreline at sunrise, waves gently brushing against the feet, the horizon stretching infinitely ahead. Every wave carries away a fragment of old attachment, a piece of tension, a residue of resistance. Each inhalation fills with air that is fresh, light, and expansive. This metaphor is not distant. It is lived every time the self chooses to release consciously, every time attachment is acknowledged and let flow, every time presence is embraced. Over time, the cumulative effect is liberation that feels embodied, integrated, and natural. By now, it is clear that letting go is an ongoing art, not a single event. Awareness, reflection, visualization, forgiveness, bodily practice, and gentle ritual converge to form a rhythm of freedom. Each act, repetition, and moment of mindfulness reinforces the self's capacity to inhabit life fully. The habit of holding on loses its grip, while the instinct to move with openness, compassion, and courage strengthens. This integrated state is resilient, empowering, and deeply aligned with the natural flow of life. As this reflection draws to a close, the message is simple: freedom is always within reach. The self can release, surrender, and let flow, not out of weakness but from profound strength. Life can be inhabited fully, without the constriction of old attachments, without the weight of expectations, and without the persistent pull of unprocessed emotion. Each moment of release is a reaffirmation that the self deserves space, clarity, and peace. And if these words have resonated, returning to this space, subscribing, and engaging with continued reflections provides a gentle companion on the ongoing journey of release, growth, and presence. The art of letting go is ultimately an embrace, a tender, deliberate, and powerful choice to inhabit life freely. Each act of release, every wave allowed to flow, every moment of mindful surrender shapes the self into one that is expansive, alive, and profoundly connected. There is no end to this practice, only deeper immersion, growing clarity, and the quiet, steady joy of living with presence and freedom. By choosing to let go, the self steps into life with open arms, ready for what is, without the burden of what was or what could have been.